Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 24th of May.
I got it.
2019.
Nancy Pelosi has lost her marbles, and here's one of them.
Look at you. It's like Hook.
Nancy Pelosi has lost her marbles, and I have one of them. Who of you will return it to Nancy? Who of you will be the patriot to give her back one of her marbles?
She comes down here and she's like, what is this, an eyeball?
It's got to be one of Nancy Pelosi's marbles.
Totally could be.
I have no idea where it came from. It's literally just sitting on our desk. It's Nancy Pelosi's marble.
She laid an egg.
We're going to get to some funny stuff. We're going to see Nancy Pelosi slur her way through 2 minutes that Donald Trump retweeted out.
Now, question.
Fun.
Because when I was trying to find pictures.
I'm not a midget. She's sitting on a seat and I like to stand.
For this, everything on Twitter says that Donald Trump deleted that tweet because it was doctored video.
It wasn't doctored.
Okay. I'm just saying that's what the left is claiming.
I know. It's all over Twitter that it's not doctored, it's edited. So they claim when you edit something, when she goes like this. 3. And so they play it like 5 times.
Yeah.
3.
They said
3.
One guy tweeted out, I guess Rupert, I don't know if he's related to like Rupert Murdoch, but he was like, this video has been slowed down to make Pelosi sound drunk. It isn't the first time the Trump administration has used doctored footage to demean their perceived enemies.
No, it's called edited because they put together compilations of Donald Trump all the stinking time.
I know they do.
Pot, meat, kettle. If I don't let it go, then I was listening to somebody on InfoWars today. You got to, I don't know what they do. They think something they were thinking of that made it so they had to laugh at things. Okay, this is something not to laugh at, so we're going to start with this.
Okay.
There has been an explosion in Lyon, France, and 13 people have been injured, including children. So we're going to cover that first because it's a bomb. It's a terrorist attack. A police appeal after parcel bomb attack hurts 13, injures 13. French police have made an appeal for information in their hunt for a man suspected of planting a parcel bomb in Lyon, which injured 13 people. The device went off outside a bakery on a busy street in the heart of the country's third biggest city. Those hurt, including a girl, only 8 years old, appear to have suffered superficial injuries. Anti-terrorist prosecutors have taken over the investigation. Security has been boosted in public places. Police released this grainy image. I don't know how anybody's going to identify that guy, but
he's got sunglasses on.
Yeah. They said he was wearing a long sleeve dark top and light colored shorts. A police source told the AFP Associate News that the suspect appeared to be about 30 and was using a black mountain bike. So what do we know so far? The device, which was reportedly full of screws, nuts, and bolts. Wow. Obviously not an accident, you know. Exploded around, Victor Hugo Street, I think this afternoon in France, the historic city center. Between Saône and the Rhone rivers. French media quoted a receptionist at a nearby hotel as saying there had been a deafening blast. I saw people running and panicking, and I heard several cries.
Wow.
The last time a parcel bomb had exploded in France was 2007, when a device killed one person. So our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to the victims here.
Yeah.
We have the aftermath here. So obviously we can only speculate as to the motive behind this, but if we're going to be profilers, we're going to say this is probably an Islamic terror attack.
Right.
I don't know other people who just randomly attack civilians.
Yeah.
So
usually when it's somebody that's doing something that's not motivated by radicalism, then it's a personal vendetta against something.
Some person.
It's not just people don't usually just randomly attack civilians.
So multiple cameras would have caught him on his bike, so I'm hoping that they will find them now. They describe the suspect attacker as a European or North African male, so pretty much anybody they don't know yet.
Right.
11 of the victims were rushed to the hospital from the scene of the attack outside the bakery.
Then it's
So here we have a woman obviously in distress. You'd be in distress too. We saw a very panicked woman and a man with a bleeding leg taking refuge in a clothing business. The owner of a hotel said the noise was impressive and that he saw metal plates on the floor as a kind of circuit board and scattered papers.
Wow.
So I think that actually kind of goes into our... Of course, I'm going to go to immigration and probably illegal immigration, open immigration, people who immigrating who are not wanting to immigrate because they love the culture of France and want to be French. And I think that's the main issue when we have immigration.
Sure.
So when my great-grandfather came over here with my grandfather, they came over from Sweden because they wanted to experience the American dream.
Right.
And there was no welfare. There were no food stamps. And my great-grandfather could not handle being in America. And he left, but my great-grandmother stayed, and my grandfather and his brother stayed.
Right. They were like 10.
They were very, very poor. And my grandfather had it within him and said, I'm going to make myself great. That's what... Listen, I'm going to put aside American capitalism. My grandfather, I don't want to speak ill of the dead. I think he was a good man at heart, but he was a hard man and did not raise his children well. Let me put it that way. However, in the context of, quote, the American dream.
Right.
He came over here from Sweden speaking only Swedish on a boat, not an airplane. Dirt poor.
Yeah.
He worked first as a sharecropping type farmer.
Mm-hmm. That was his dream. I think that's what he really wanted to do, and everyone kept telling him, you can't make it as
money.
A farmer.
He can't make money. But his dream then changed to American capitalism. I think that
he was an inventor.
He was an inventor. And he was messed over by several companies, but he knew his self-worth, and he ended up creating two big, large companies. And he was the inventor of we talked about these different things, the zip tie on ice cream.
The cigarette box top that flips open.
He was good with boxes. He was good with cardboard. He was good with inventing things.
The pizza warmer, your pizza comes in a bag.
And the sour cream
gun for Taco Bell. It's really monumental.
I know, but these are things that he came from nothing.
Right.
To owning the largest house in Claremont County.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that that's something that everybody should shoot for.
Right.
I'm saying that there's no other country in the world that a dirt poor immigrant can go to.
Right. And you don't have to have... This is actually a testimony of... You can do that when you're not given handouts. Mm-hmm. Because when you're given the handouts, you will almost always stay in that status quo of... Because it creates a mindset of give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. That's why in inner cities, it doesn't matter what color you are. We were in government housing for a brief period of time when we were kids too. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. The people in the inner city have a hard time getting out because they are rewarded for staying poor.
So the less money you make, the cheaper your rent is. So why are you going to make more money?
Right.
The less money you make, the more food stamps you get. So why are you going to make more money?
I have a good friend of mine who was on food stamps, and I remember her saying to me...
She got $500 a month in food stamps, and her husband got a $2 an hour raise.
And she was upset because it was going to get rid of their food stamps because her husband got a raise.
Right.
I don't want to make more money because then that way... And it's the same thing with Social Security retirement.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
Once you take your Social Security retirement, you can make some money. But if you work really hard and you make more money than your retirement, retirement is supposed to be something that you earned. If you retired from any other company, it wouldn't matter what you worked.
Right.
So it's not really retirement. It's just government welfare.
Yeah.
What you get. It's not, this earned Social Security. They shouldn't be able to limit it, but they do.
Right. So my point is that for all intents and purposes, my grandfather didn't come here to leech off of something.
Right.
He came here and I'm telling this because he was an abusive man. Mm. However, he wasn't, sometimes people are not black and white.
Right.
Sometimes they're gray in between. Right. And my grandfather's one of those gray area people. He was not an evil person. He just wasn't a really good person. And part of American capitalism and things like that led his kids down the road. And, it's a long story with our family, but My point is that he didn't come here to leech off the system. He came here because he did love America.
Right.
He did love America.
Absolutely.
And he came here and he became an American, even though we celebrated our Swedish culture. It was very much secondary. He was an American.
Yeah.
And when these immigrants, especially in Europe, if they became, I want to go to Germany because I want to be German. I want to go to Italy because I want to be an Italian.
Yeah.
I want to go to the UK because I want to be British. Because I feel those values, and that is who I want to be. And I would never go somewhere to or demand something from somebody else.
Right.
Or I would never go somewhere to bring harm or to try to change their system. My grandfather did not come to America to change its system.
And there's no actual, it's not a secret that Ilhan Omar and the like that have been elected to Congress.
They seek to change our system.
They want to change our political
system.
system.
They want us to be socialist. They want down with Israel, up with Palestine. They want to get rid of American values.
Right.
Israel, people who say that Israel is our closest ally, she thinks that they are bought off and that they're pigs. So why did I bring that up? Because we have a crisis on our border. We have 40 million estimated illegal immigrants. This is why I talked about deport all of those and bring in the entire country of Cuba, the Cubans will be grateful for being here.
Yeah.
And they will become Americans, at least most of them. So I'm going to play this clip from Tucker Carlson I watched last night. Because remember when Donald Trump called...
You just said member.
You remember. Member. Remember when Donald Trump called MS-13 members animals? Well, they are. They do. And unfortunately, they're taught to be animals in El Salvador. It's a very violent country. These are people that, in order to survive, these young men are brainwashed and trained. You'd almost need to put them in some sort of vat of love and kindness and put them on some sort of love island. And the ones that, show like total, complete change, I love Jesus, can come in.
Right.
Because it's that kind of brainwashing to be a murderous, crazy person. So I'm going to play this for you. I'm going to play it. Taki.
So Baker Mom says, I don't consider Social Security a handout. I paid into it, and so did my husband. It's only fair to be able to get our money back out with interest. I'm not saying, what I'm saying is, if it is...
It should be.
It should be that you can just take it out. But now it's not. It's treated like a government handout. You're treated like you're taking a government handout.
If you make extra money, then you get less Social Security, which is ridiculous. You paid into it, you should get it out.
Exactly.
That could easily have been prevented. It wasn't an act of God or some freak accident. It wasn't even a random crime, the kind that inevitably occurs in a country as big as ours is. Her death was the product of a deliberate policy. Our leadership class has decided to downplay the threat of MS-13. Why? Because Trump attacked MS-13. Therefore, in the demented zero-sum calculation of permanent Washington, MS-13 must be virtuous. The enemy of Donald Trump must be my friend. That's how they think.
Right.
It all started almost exactly a year ago when the president said this.
So when the MS-13 comes in, when the other gang members come into our country, I refer to them as animals, and guess what? I always will.
Keep in mind, MS-13's motto is kill, rape, control. They routinely torture and murder high school students. They bring drugs across the border and into our neighborhoods. They're the deadliest criminal gang in America. And yet, once Trump attacked them, the left decided that worrying about MS-13 was a greater threat to our values than the gang itself. Anyone who criticized MS-13 was denounced as racist, if not a tool of Putin. They said as much out loud, including on this show. The traditional Democratic Party, the one that represented blue-collar America, would have been baffled by this. Working-class people of all colors are always the biggest victims of crime. If you want to protect them, don't side with criminals. That was something that Democrats, including a young Joe Biden, once understood intuitively, but no longer. Today, criticizing MS-13 would mean asking questions about the party's orthodoxy on immigration. It would expose Nancy Pelosi's absurd lie that every single immigrant is impressive and must be allowed to stay in the country, no questions asked. Nobody on the left wants to talk about any of this, so instead they just defended MS-13.
He basically seems to assume that everybody is part of MS-13. Very strange to hear a president of the United States speak in such dehumanizing terms.
Is it appropriate for a president to ever call anyone an animal, even if they are sadistic gang members?
Yeah, I think that's something to watch out for. The history of political leaders dehumanizing opponents, even criminals, and using animal metaphors is a dangerous one. That is not something that we should accept from an American president.
I do think there's a serious problem with the president dehumanizing any group of people in the United States, even if they are hardened criminals.
How do they say that with a straight face?
Saying rude things about MS-13 is a, quote, serious problem. Unlike, say, abortion up to the moment of birth, which is liberation and not a problem at all. That's Nancy Pelosi's position. Pelosi considers late-term abortion as wholesome as a 4th of July picnic, but criticizes a Central American gang member with a face tattoo, and she will give you a long lecture about God.
We're all God's children. There's a spark of divinity in every person on earth. And so when the President of the United States says about undocumented immigrants, these aren't people. These are animals.
Putin?
You have to wonder, does he not believe in the spark of divinity, the dignity and worth of every person? Every day that you think you've seen it all, along comes another manifestation of why their policies are so inhumane.
I got one of your marbles.
That's today's lecture on Christianity from Nancy Pelosi.
You need it back.
The media, of course, dutifully amplified Pelosi's message. She's their boss. That's their job. Vox.com produced an entire video designed to explain that actually MS-13 members are just like your kids.
When you think of the street gang MS-13, what do you see? Maybe something like this, or this. But what if I told you the typical MS-13 gang member in the U.S. actually looks like one of these young men on Facebook?
The MS-13 members that I've been following are working after-school jobs, they're living with their parents, they get around Long Island on bicycles.
There's no indication that we're seeing a bigger surge of MS-13 than we'd seen in the past.
When the revolution finally ends, when this era, this moment, whatever we're in right now, when it finally ends, that video you just saw from Vox.com will be worth watching, a period piece. We're going to look at that and say, it's hard to believe that that's real, but it is real. That kind of propaganda where powerful people are lying right to your face again and again and again happens a lot. And it would be pretty funny, actually, if the stakes were lower, but they're not low, they're high. The left defends MS-13 because they can't acknowledge a downside to the open borders.
That's the
okay,
thing.
I want to go back to that Vox video here. And not to play it, but let's touch on that for 1 second. They actually just solidified the argument of how dangerous MS-13 is. Do you know why? Because those kids that are they look every day and they look normal and they're kind of holding down jobs. That's how they recruit, and that's how they trickle their drugs out.
Yeah.
They're not going to stand on a corner with all those MS-13 tattoos and be able to sell drugs to kids in school. It's not going to happen. They're not going to be able to recruit kids when they look that scary. It has to come from a peer. It's very, very scary that we just saw pictures of very young men. Did they show men in their 30s? No, they only showed the young men. That should scare people. And the fact that they're using that to say that, no, they're just regular every day. Oh my gosh, that's so scary. That's very frightening.
That's how their drugs get out. So the next part of the show, and I'm just going to do it for you. I know, Tucker.
Wait, I want to read Donna Terry's comment here because this is awesome. She says that she thinks that everybody that, now this was a while ago, I wish MS-13 gang members would move next door to all those people who are saying negative things about our president. I think then they will themselves call them animals.
Okay, so here are two animals. MS-13 teens came to the U.S. as family unit and unaccompanied, murdered a 14-year-old girl after being released in a sanctuary county. Now, what they murdered a 14-year-old girl because they thought that she would rat them out. They were two illegal aliens who came to the United States in 2015 as part of a family unit, and the other was unaccompanied, just came on its own in 2016. They were released by Prince George's County Police Department after being charged with attempted murder. They were charged with attempted murder and released upon other crimes as well.
How many other people get released for attempted murder?
Ariana Funes Diaz, 14 years old, and they dumped her body in a creek. Prince George's County is a sanctuary for illegal aliens. Both are members of the violent MS-13. following the recent arrest of 2 unlawfully present teens suspected in the violent murder of a young girl in Maryland. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers in Baltimore are again seeking to take custody of the illegal aliens through the ICE detainer process following Prince George's County's detention center's failure to cooperate. ICE released in a statement, I think it's Josu, Rafael, can't say their names, and
Fuentes,
good job, Ponce, and Joel Ernesto Escobar, both Salvadorian nationals, were previously arrested on May 11th, 2018, one year ago, when they were arrested by the Prince George's County's Police Department for attempted first-degree murder, attempted second-degree murder, and participation in gang activity, conspiracy to commit murder, attempted robbery, and other related charges. But these Sanctuary City people say that it is safer for them to keep these kids on the street than have ICE deport them. ICE filed a request.
For who?
For ICE filed a request with the local Maryland Police Department to hold these guys. In other words, they issued a detainer. Instead of being held, the 2 were released on an unknown date and an unknown time without notification to ICE. Last week, on May 16th, the same 2 men were arrested again and charged with first-degree murder. As law enforcement officers, we must continue to serve and protect Americans.
Hang on, though, because I get that there are sometimes these like bleeding heart judges or whatever, and people in positions that really somehow feel for these people. I think that has to be a very, very small percentage. What are these government officials that are releasing these people? They have to be getting paid off by somebody to let these people go.
They know that they have to have illegal immigration here if they have a chance of taking back the presidency and the House and get more members in the House, because with 40 million illegal people here
that will vote Democrat,
how many of them voted in our last election? I guarantee you that Hillary Clinton did not win the popular vote. Now they can laugh at me or whatever, but if you think that 40 million people can get over here and smoothly transition to society, and they're not going to try to vote? Are you kidding me?
Well, and you're not going to value something that you don't have to work for. And that's what we go back to, standing in line in the queue.
False driver's license, false social security, and they can get false birth certificates.
Right.
And I guarantee you that Hillary Clinton knows, they all know that she didn't win the popular vote.
Right.
They
bust these people to the polls.
Speaking of the popular vote, and I really actually don't want to talk about this right now because it gets my blood boiling, but Nevada, along with several other states, has passed a bill. It's sent to the governor to make it so that their electoral votes will go towards the popular winner of the entire election. And why they have to do this,
constitutional law, though,
is because, as Patriot Gallery said, it's much harder to rig individual states than the entire popular vote. Because if you can get those votes nationwide, you're not going to get those illegal votes in Ohio. You're not going to get those illegal votes in Kentucky. You're not going to get those illegal votes. Possibly you will in Florida, but not as many. Okay?
And why are they passing this right now?
Right.
A year and a half out.
Yeah, that's exactly what they want to do. They're
terrified.
Trying to stack the deck. Now, let me tell you why it's important to keep electoral college. Because we are not a democracy. Wake up every day and say, thank you, Jesus, I live in a constitutional republic. What does it mean to live in a republic, Michelle?
It means that you have rights because of your mini little country or state that you live in. You can be represented before the federal government as a strong body of people, because otherwise the federal government would come and usurp power and take over everything.
I listened to Alex Jones the other day. If you have a pure democracy, then your neighbors can vote to kill you.
Right.
Your neighbors can vote to take your property. Your neighbors and everyone around you can vote, can just get angry and just vote.
Yeah.
Democracies, our founding fathers made sure not to have a democracy, but a constitutional republic where there were checks. What we're talking about is checks and balances against a majority mob rule. We specifically have the imbalance, you could say, for checks and balances, so that those in rural areas that may not be as populated and may have different needs, but may have, I mean, our states are basically chopped up into kind of similar sizes, except for like the East Coast. And they're designed space-wise to represent, to make sure everybody can spread out. Is kind of where I'm getting at. You could move. Nevada could be flooded and have more people than, say, New Hampshire.
Sure. But
do the people in Nevada have less? Well, actually, Nevada is the one that's trying to change it. But let's go with Wyoming. Let's go with Montana for a second. Right. Do they have less say in their lives? That's why you have a balance of power. I think California has 53 people in the House of Representatives, and Wyoming has 3.
Right.
So don't cry me a river. Don't cry me a river. California has 50 more representatives in the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
You're represented. But the Senate is a check and a balance against mob rule.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. What they're trying to do here is unconstitutional. I mean, it's almost like an act of war, I feel, to what they're trying to do, because as states, if you want to go against the Constitution, you can't be in our country anymore. You just have to be your own independent little landmass.
Well, then we go to war.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, that's what they are declaring an act of war when they try to go against the Constitution. Right. If we're going to abolish the Electoral College, it has to be an amendment. It can't be something that individual states get to decide. So yes, so what's very interesting is they're trying to utilize their rights as a state to give up their rights as a state. And that's very sad for the people that live in those states when they don't have a say that their government is doing this.
Absolutely. All right. So, dun dun dun. dun.
So here's the doctor.
I came and I found this marble.
Oh my gosh!
On the desk, and I was like, Nancy Pelosi lost her marbles, and I have one of them. Who is going to pay to ship this to California for Nancy?
We should do that.
So you thought that it was taken down. This tweet is up. This is Pelosi stammers through news conference.
Let's hear it. I haven't seen it yet.
Took no longer on the floor. Custody of the border. Everyone. He started sending signals.
I want to make this small so that you can see that it's not doctored. I don't want it to catch up on you, because you got to see that it's not doctored.
The U.S., Mexico, Canada. If that's not the accurate, some people call it after NAFTA. Some call it NAFTA 2.0. Working together to pass that. Not. The three things. We're very busy people.
Okay, last time I checked, this is 3, not this. It was worse yesterday. We played another clip. She could not put a subject with a predicate in the same sentence. What's going on?
You know, I mean, obviously, I'm 76 years old. She's a couple years older than I am, and we all age a little differently. My sense is she has a very big job. I think she's getting worn down. She always was very neat, very proper. I think she's very inarticulate, which she's never been in the past. And I think to a certain extent, she needs to kind of step in the background and not be out front as much. And she shouldn't be the point person leading the Democrats.
Is she speaker in name only now, being actually controlled and whipped by her own sort of radical branch of the Democratic Party?
Well, it's a split party, and certainly the young, dynamic Democrats who want to impeach this president don't go along with her. She's sort of the old guard, and I think this is the whole Democratic problem. They got Biden and everybody else that are way over the hill running for president. She certainly would be perceived as over the hill at this point in time, as probably I would be too. But at the end of the day here, my sense is she should not be out there doing the kinds of things she's doing. She will diminish herself and diminish her membership.
Wow. So, there's more, by the way, and we gotta find them.
You know, I find it kind of sad, though, because...
It is sad.
I believe that she does suffer from dementia.
I do.
And she doesn't know. I don't think she quite realizes what's happening to her.
Right.
You know, so it's sad.
I think you're right.
These could be impeachable offenses, but I intend not. The three things, you might understand it better if you remember these three things.
I'm gonna play that again.
These could be impeachable offenses, but I intend not. The three things, you might understand it better if you remember these three things.
What is this?
2.5?
But I'll tell you something about them claiming that they slowed down that video when they said three things. It was
fast.
It was fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
All right, so I'm going to put this mashup together because not only did Nancy Pelosi have some like mental like fuzz going on, but Jerry Nadler, who is he's the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, I believe. That's the one that Matt Gaetz sits on, Jim Jordan sits on, and he has been a total bag of horse manure. And actually,
tell us how you really feel.
That's saying that that's kind of putting horse manure down because you know what I mean.
We use that in our garden. It's very beneficial.
I know. So he is running wild. You can see that video going around where he's not playing by the rules and he's just going out there to get Trump, and that's what all they're doing. And this is wearing them down. So he's sitting down with the least favorite mayor in the country, Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York City. Even the people in New York City don't like him. He's decided he wants to run for president.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but nobody likes him. But Jerry Nadler had a moment where he kind of like had a issue today where it was almost like a seizure type thing. He just kind of was like gone for a minute. So I'm going to play InfoWars Rob Do put this little mashup together.
And I think the congressman's right about that fact. There, you want some? Yeah, I've got some here, Jerry.
Hang on, we're gonna get this smaller again. I should actually have Michelle play some of these.
Oh wow.
Look a little dehydrated, brother.
No. He's having like a TSA.
He's having a stroke.
What is it? It's like a little
like he had a stroke.
And
I want you to watch that
again. That's awful.
It is awful. I don't want you to say God did this or anything like that. It's bad that this happened.
No, it's just indicative
but it shows
of
that
the incompetency, and it's unfortunate.
Custody of the border.
No, it went fast now.
Border.
It skipped ahead.
Everyone
it did. Or it's a different
and
video.
I think the congressman's right about that fact. There, you want some? Yeah, I got some here, Jerry. Take a drink. Look a little dehydrated, brother.
It's not dehydration to say that. You would, if I saw somebody hanging their head like that. I've been around a lot of older people with issues. 911
stroke
now.
Right.
Take this
and this
guy
goes to show that I don't know what
now.
their response was, but unless they reacted that way, it shows they don't really care about Nadler because everybody in that room would have been able to tell. I could tell right off the bat.
Yeah.
Get that boy an aspirin.
Yeah.
Well, they say an aspirin for some and not for another, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, show the media can't be played.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Took a little longer on the floor than I had anticipated in the custody of the border. Everyone, he started sending signals, working together to make past that.
You seem a little dehydrated. You okay? You want to take a drink of this?
So
he mumbled a response.
He said no.
Right, but still.
It's not okay.
First,
that's what he said.
Pound the table, walk out the door. But I intend not. The three things.
You want to take a drink of this to give yourself some?
Okay, that is a stroke victim.
Yeah.
That's it. Somebody's having an issue. Just no. I've been around elderly people enough to know that guy should not be leading up any committees.
No, wow.
He is not physically sound. It's the same thing with like Hillary Clinton having her stumbling episodes. Oh, it's just hot. They like to say, oh, it's just hot. It's just hot. Dehydration doesn't cause that, folks.
Right.
Oh, I know that is some sort of stroke. That's some sort of
blood clot
issue or
TIA. Thank you, David.
Something's going on neurologically is what I'm saying. I'm not a doctor, but I've been around enough.
How you feel, man? You okay? You all right? Okay, you want to
said
drink
no.
some of this? I'll give you some. What? How you feel, man?
It took a long time to get anybody there.
We can walk and chew gum at the same time. I hope you can too.
I want to just put out a message right now to the Democrats because, look, your leaders, Nancy Pelosi, and
He's probably gonna do an ad for Brain Force Max.
Here's the deal, though. This guy next to him, and we can talk politics all day long, but don't offer water to somebody that has issues like that. You don't give food or water or anything going into the airways when somebody is having an issue.
Right.
If they literally are dehydrated, it's actually pretty easy. It's a pretty easy, passing out is different than what he was going through.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. You look a little dehydrated. No, you're just trying to cover up and you're not getting him help fast enough.
Exactly.
Here, he just kept saying, drink some water, drink some water, drink some water.
Right.
And Nadler's like, no, there's something wrong with me.
Right, exactly.
He was scared
House
for
Judiciary
himself.
Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler appearing to faint at a press conference. This just a short time ago.
He didn't faint.
And I think the congressman's right about that fact. Jerry, you want some? Yeah, I got some here. Jerry, take a drink. You look a little dehydrated, brother. You seem a little dehydrated. You okay? You want to take a drink of this to give yourself some? How you feel, man? You okay? You all right? Okay, you want to drink some of this? I'll give you some.
Stop telling him to
the
drink something.
doctors are right here, by the way. Doctor's right here. Taking a minute.
Why did they take so long to get up and look at him, by the way?
They did call the ambulance.
Unbelievable. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I've got a lot of news to cover.
We don't ever want these people. I don't wish them ill at all, but I do wish them to step down when they can't hack it, when they don't have what it takes physically, mentally.
Lost your marbles.
You know, you just can't be a representative if that's the case.
Okay, so the Democrats have proven. Donald Trump has been asked by Meadows, Gates, Jordan to declassify the documents. He has said he finally will, but he's been holding on to them because he knew that he would need them at the right time.
Right.
And I guess this is the right time because they're going full on at him. They're going at Donald Jr. And this is Sebastian Gorka. He says, well, just watch.
I knew this day would come, but I didn't expect it so soon. Thanks to the actions and statements of Nancy Pelosi in the last 48 hours, the president has brought forth his decision, and the Kraken has been unleashed. With his decision tonight to allow the Attorney General to declassify any information relating to the illegal surveillance against his presidential campaign and his administration, we will find out who began the biggest political scandal in American history and where the responsibility lies. Watch in the next 2 days the rats, the hyenas start to eat each other. Clapper, Brent.
He should be a voiceover.
Is he gonna do the movie
Lynch,
of this?
even Obama. The fun and games have begun. I'm Sebastian Gorka. Stay tuned. SaidGorka.com.
How does you talk like that?
I don't know. My name is Sebastian Gorka.
How does he talk like that?
He was so serious. He was delivering movie lines.
I don't know how somebody can talk like that. All right, so
no, but I mean seriously, it is as huge as he's making it out to be. It is as monumental, and you should take it that seriously. But the fact that he delivered it with a straight face.
So there was a we're gonna jump back and forth. We're kind of covering the same things. Trump, Pelosi declassifying documents. I'm gonna play these as I find them up. And they all kind of go together. So this is Don Jr. being asked what he thought of Nancy Pelosi saying that she prays for Donald Trump. I prayed for the president. And I pray that his family has an intervention to get him out of office.
Right. I actually put that quote in the as our, in case it was too small for you to read, as our thumbnail. I want to pull it up so that I can read it verbatim. So you can. It says, "I pray for the President of the United States. I wish that his family or his administration or his staff would have an intervention for the good of the country."
What they accuse you of is what they're guilty of. Nancy Pelosi needs an intervention. She needs to sit down, Junior. Okay, I got your marble. This is my prop for the day. I found this marble.
Although
here.
I think that we could start a campaign. Everyone mailing Nancy some marbles.
Oh my gosh,
to her office. Like we could do, and it sounds like a
Dear Nancy, you lost your marbles. But don't worry, we have them right here.
Right.
So this is Don Jr. and I love what
could you start that trending on Twitter? Mail Nancy her marbles back.
Yeah, I should.
Mail the marbles.
Mail the marbles.
Mail the marbles. Hashtag mail the marbles.
All right. So what does Don Jr. think?
They see his track record of success, win after win. Trevor Noah the other day said he's actually doing the things he said he was going to do. Right. The fact that that's uncommon with American politicians should tell us all we need to know. They don't want...
It's stopping him again because you made it big.
I know.
Just leave it small. They can see it gets big on the TV. They're fine.
Him to rack up more wins because
they don't want him to rack up any wins
because the Democratic frontrunners are out there. Government has failed you. I go, Joe Biden, you've been doing this for 50 years. So government, you're right. Government has failed you. That's your failure. That's your record. So, it's really disingenuous. It's sad to see it. And I'd love to see him do that. I'd love to see him work on infrastructure because he's a builder. That's what he does better than anything. He'll get it done, and he's fixing this country. But they don't want him to do that because they don't want people from the outside. They don't want Republicans. They don't want conservative values being what puts America back at the top.
Nancy Pelosi said that it could be an impeachable offense. She doubled down last night, said she's praying for your dad. Watch this.
3 things. Here it comes.
This president is obstructing justice, and he's engaged in a cover-up. And that could be an impeachable offense. Ignoring the subpoenas of Congress was Article 3 of the Nixon impeachment.
She goes on to say, I pray for the president, and the president tweeted, he said, thanks, I know you truly mean it.
Well, listen, I don't think the party of infanticide is exactly praying for anyone. That's not what they do. We get that. It's just a consummate attack on American values, on democracy. Honestly, this election, 2020, it's about communism versus freedom. You can choose. That's the great thing about our system. But that's what it is. They want to attack anything that has to do with free markets, anything that has to do with freedom. They need government control because that's all they are.
Communism or socialism?
Honestly, at this point, it feels like it's going beyond, right? It's just the stepping stones. We've seen this system fail time and time again. No different than Joe Biden saying government's failed you. Meanwhile, he's been doing it for 50 years. Right. It's like socialism's going to work this time. Done. It's failed 1,000 times. It's killed hundreds of millions of people. But this time it's going to work. It's nonsense.
I love it. Okay, so if Kansas doesn't get elected in 2024, I'm really hoping it's Don Jr. We could just ride this wave, right?
Yeah, it'll be Kansas. All right. Okay, so here's Representative Mark Meadows. There's information coming out that will curl your hair.
You got to get to the time to release some of this stuff. But for us, it's about a search for the truth, Sean. And I can tell you, there's information coming that will curl your hair. I can tell you that the reason why it's so visceral, the response from the Democrats is so visceral right now, is because they know they've
seen it. They know they don't
seen documents. Adam Schiff has seen documents that he knows will actually put the finger pointing back at him and his Democrat colleagues, not the President of the United States. And so that's why we're seeing it.
That's what we're going to see happening right now. And you know what? I think this is the time for our little break, our commercial break.
Okay.
And we're going to play for you a little meme thing. Okay. You're just going to have to go with it. Somebody did AOC. I don't actually know who it is. I'm sorry. He should get credit.
But you got it from Mark Dice.
Yeah. Who did it? I need to give them credit. Soul.
SOL on Twitter.
Master Meme Machine. I should follow them. I'm going to follow them.
Okay.
So, this is Katy Perry's. This is our commercial break for the day.
Are we going to watch the whole thing?
Yes, this is a worldly thing. Yeah, we're going to watch the whole thing.
Okay.
You're gonna come to me, and here you are, but you better choose carefully.
There's Bernie.
Oh my gosh. This is unfortunate.
Wow. Actually, wow. I love that they chose this song. Right. Okay? Because she says she's awesome. It's like she keeps George Soros above her head right here.
Oh my gosh, right there.
Yeah, so whoever did this, kudos to you because you were absolutely hilarious.
You might need to sit to the side so they can see it.
I will definitely do that because I want you to see this in its entirety. And it does say a lot. Whoever did it was a thinking person. That's what I love about these meme wars. The NPCs...
You actually didn't move over any.
Okay, well, the NPCs, they creep me out, those gray faces.
Oh, yeah.
They're to represent the fact that the mainstream media are all the same. That they're all the same person.
Exactly.
Okay? But the point of the song is... Love me, but watch out, because I have magic, and she does. And I will destroy you.
Right.
I will destroy you. The same thing with Bernie Sanders. She'll destroy him.
Right.
Everybody that she gets in contact with, she's going to destroy with a smile on her face.
Well, it's like whenever you watch a movie, and the bad guy has these, like, cronies that go with him, and then all of a sudden he shoots them, and you think to yourself... You had to know that you've seen him shoot other people that were on his side before. Like, why would you stick with him?
Exactly. I love the gym shoes.
That's fantastic. That smile that they chose for Bernie. Wow. This is incredible.
And then he dies.
My gosh. That's creepy.
There's Pelosi. Now farts kill. Here comes
was that Jerry Nadler?
That was Jerry Nadler.
Absolutely phenomenal. Russia collusion.
There.
Wow. Oh my gosh, this is just too much. I can't. Cory Booker. Oh my gosh, that was so great! Oh, Silent Green Production. Solent. Excuse me. Green. Solent. That is absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh. I wish we had done just that.
I know.
Wow. Like just a reaction of that. That has to get out there.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Because and I actually dislike that song by Katy Perry. Because the tune is so enchanting and it really does, it sucks you in just like the lyrics are saying, and it's very demonic, it's very satanic. You want to like the song. And that's why it's totally evil and creepy.
Aphrodite is kind of like the sex goddess.
It's
pretty disgusting.
It is.
Like
unbelievable.
All right. Really good. Trump is dropping the hammer, guys. Trump strikes back. Not long ago, a few Americans of the thinking persuasion, everybody called a far-right Nazi, might have imagined that such a well-engineered republic with its exquisite checks and balances, sturdy institutions, and time-tested traditions would end up with as so much smoldering goop in a national dumpster fire.
Wow.
And that's what happens when you have institutions that are not constitutional, because guess what? The CIA and the FBI are not governed by anybody. They kind of control themselves, and we have the DOJ,
right?
Who, when they were operating together as one against President Trump, right? There's no check and balance on that.
And what's so creepy about these NGOs, these non-governing organizations, is that they are all the ones that have the creepy power.
That's not exactly what you would call an NGO, but yeah.
Okay, excuse me. Well, I like to call them that because they are. You're right.
But no, I think I like the new coinage of the term.
But my point is, they are the ones that have the surveillance.
They've not. Nobody's elected. Not one of those people is elected by or represented by us.
Right. They have the surveillance. They can unperson you.
Exactly.
Do you guys remember seeing? I love this movie. I've probably seen it at least 55 times. The Net with Sandra Bullock.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just a computer programmer.
Right.
And they unperson her. She works from home, and they literally unperson her. They can do that to you because the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, they have the power. And it's scary that these people have the power.
John Brennan.
Yeah.
Voted communist.
Right.
And he said they didn't think that they would accept him into the CIA as a communist.
Right.
But they wanted him as a communist. That's why they took him. The same thing with Comey. Comey says, I was a communist. Mm-hmm. Why do we have communists in our top law enforcement agencies?
Right.
Governing people. Nobody better than a communist.
Right.
To surveil people. All right. Such is the sad state of the Union moving into a fateful summer of 2019. The castle of the permanent bureaucracy, the NGO as Michelle would call it, is about to be torched by an uprising of deplorable peasants led by a golden golem made furious by relentless litigation. It's a Game of Thrones meets Thermodorian reaction. I have no idea where they're going with this.
Thermodorian.
Okay, this
I don't know what it is though.
That's perhaps a lot. Perhaps a lot to dislike about Donald Trump. Despite all the grooming and tailoring, there's little savor fair there. I like his tweets actually.
I think his tweets
even
are
so,
fantastic.
the bad faith of his antagonist exceeds even Mr. Trump's defects and vices. The plot they concocted to get rid of him failed, and yes, it was a plot, even a coup, and they effed it up magnificently.
Whoa, you just said that.
Yes,
you just read that out loud.
I was reading it out loud, leaving a paper trail as wide as Interstate 95. I could have said messed it up, and I should have. Now all the paper is about to fall over the District of Columbia like radioactive ash, turning many current and former denizens of rogue agencies into the Walking Dead as they embark on the dismal journey between grand juries and federal prisons.
Wow.
Hence, the desperate rage of the impeachment faction, in direct proportion to their secret, shameful knowledge that the entire Russiagate melodrama was in fact a seditious subterfuge between the Hillary Clinton campaign and a great many key figures in government, up to and including former President Barack Obama, who has shut down and taken off from his website the Organizing for Action, which we have been trying to let people know about from 2016. Because he's getting great gojo. No, I don't know why. Because I guess it's not working. They're not doing it anymore.
Okay.
Organizing for that's a really good sign.
It failed.
It's failing. It's failed.
Because nobody wants to get behind it.
Well, here's the thing. The OFA created Antifa. Obama's Organizing for Action is Antifa.
Right.
I'm telling you because I've seen the videos.
I agree.
Okay. So I guess Antifa still has a few crazy people out there, but you notice you don't see them very much anymore?
Hang on though, because here's the deal, Leah. You know how the other night I'm gonna mesh gospel with current events. You said that when it comes to Jesus, Jordan Peterson says, you know what? I can't tell. I know that Jesus existed. I believe that unequivocally. I can't say for certain whether he rose from the dead or not. Mm-hmm. The jury's still out on that. But I will say this. People don't die and lay down their lives for something that they know is a lie. And I think that's why, and that's to say, at least the disciples who claim to have seen Jesus rise from the dead, they actually gave their lives for Jesus. Okay, you wouldn't do that unless you believed that it was the truth. And so you're seeing these Antifa people and Organizing for Action. They don't believe what they're fighting for. That's why Trump people are still out there. That's why we're still going to rallies. That's why we're still putting out videos, because we believe it like it's our own name. Like the sky is blue. They didn't believe it. That's why it's failed.
Antifa masks come off. They're poor meth addict white people.
Yeah.
The evidence already public indicates that Robert Mueller must have known as early as the date of his appointment and likely before that the predicating evidence of his inquiry was false.
And so he took 2 years.
After all, his soon-to-be lead prosecutor, Andrew Wiseman, was informed of that in no uncertain terms by his DOJ colleague, Attorney General Bruce Orr in 2016. Justice may seek to know why Mr. Mueller did not inform the target of his inquiry that it was so. The answer to that may be that Mr. Mueller's true mission was to disable Trump and our country. These people are traitors. I know Britt Hume said that Donald Trump calling these people traitors or treasonous was too hyperbolic, too far. But it's not. When you literally seek to investigate a president, try to impeach him, try to bring a coup to this country and destabilize our country for 2 years on a false lie,
gotta go to
that
jail.
is treasonous.
You got to go to jail. And treason is actually punishable by death.
It is actually. It tactically failed, thanks to Jesus. And I give all glory to God and to the meme words. Notice it, and to the people on the ground speaking truth and not giving up. Notice that Mr. Mueller declined to testify before the House Judiciary Committee last week. Chairman Gerald Nadler, was a fool to invite him. Did he not know that minority members of his committee get to ask questions too? Wow. And Jim Jordan. Bring him on. Imagine? Bring him on,
Bring
baby.
in Mueller. We'd like to ask him a couple of questions.
In an interesting turn of the screw last week, polling showed that a majority of those asked were in favor of investigations into the origin of the RESIGN story. The FBI, being an agency under the direct supervision of the Attorney General, will be hosed out for sure. The CIA, on the other hand, has a sordid history of acting as a sovereign state within the state, hence the deviation of the deep state. They are renowned for protecting their own. Remember the Senate Minority Leader, Mr. Schumer, snidely told, you get 6 ways till Sunday.
Yeah, to take you out.
So then we have, and this has got a lot of people upset, including me, Mr. Assange. His entire defense has been handed over to the to the U.S., who's going to prosecute him, which totally isn't fair. They can't be right. Not only that, Julian Assange, and I should have put this in the title.
You want me to add it?
Yeah, Julian Assange indictments. Crazy and false.
Or just Assange?
Assange indictments, yeah. 17 indictments, charges against Assange under the Espionage Act, a 100-year-old law that has never been used against third parties outside of the government.
You put an indictment in because I want to make sure I was spelling it correctly, and I did, and it comes up with Assange right away in Google, by the way.
Raising First Amendment issues. Apart for what it means to the First Amendment protection for a free press, no small matter, Mr. Assange is the one person who actually knows who handed over the hacked DNC emails to WikiLeaks. Perhaps getting the answer to that question is the real reason that the DOJ is throwing the book at him. The trial of Mr. Assange is sure to be a humdinger.
Humdinger. I like that word.
And I'm going to pray for him, and if I need to, I will travel to wherever I need to protest.
Yeah.
Because
I would be willing to do that.
It's really important to me.
So I looked up NGO, and I understand why you said I like that, because it actually does go. Mm-hmm. Under at least the dictionary for Google, whatever, says a nonprofit organization that operates independently of any government, typically one whose purpose is to address a social or political issue. So we have a nonprofit organization. The FBI and the CIA and the NSA, they're not for profit. They pay their employees, but they're not to get bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what a not for profit organization is. That operates independently of any government. We have seen the FBI and the CIA and the NSA operate independent of our government. They're not supposed to, but they have. Yeah. Typically one whose purpose is to address a social or political issue. Right. And of course, that is what they have done. So now we here on Resistance Chicks are going to redub the FBI, and I think Kelly called them the alphabet people, redub them as NGOs. Yeah. And if we have to go back to reread that for people that don't understand why we're calling them that, then I think my flub has turned out to be a win.
Perfect. Okay, so here we go. Ready? President Trump orders FBI CIA to fully cooperate in their NGO-ness. Nick Barr grants full and complete authority to declassify. President Trump on Thursday announced that he has directed the U.S. intelligence community to quickly and fully cooperate with the Attorney General's investigation into surveillance activities during the 2016 presidential election. Adding that Attorney General William Barr has been given complete authority to declassify information pertaining to this investigation. Today, at the request and recommendation of the Attorney General of the United States, President Donald J. Trump directed the intelligence community to quickly and fully cooperate with the Attorney General's investigation into surveillance activities during the 2016 presidential election. The Attorney General has also been delegated full and complete authority to declassify information pertaining to this investigation in accordance with the long-established standards for handling classified information. In his third tweet, Trump added that today's action will help ensure that all Americans learn the truth about the events that occurred. Thank you, Jesus.
You didn't go third tweet. I did.
And the actions that were taken during the last presidential election and will restore confidence in our public institutions. Memo issued by POTUS directs intelligence agency heads to cooperate with the Attorney General's review of intelligence activities related to the campaign's 2016 presidential election of certain related matters. This matters. Now.
Verified. 3 months earlier, he swore that it was. How big a problem is all of this conflict pretty much between every member of the deep state involved?
Well, first, the president's going to add to the problems of the deep state when he declassifies these first documents in the next several days. I think the most important thing that has changed in the last few months. Yeah, it is a big detail.
So we have similar sources on
that. Our declassification?
Yes, absolutely. I've confirmed that sometime in the next 7 to 8 days, the president will declassify the first of many documents. This first one we used to call Bucket 5, the exculpatory statements that the FBI possessed about its targets before it went to the FISA court.
Exculpatory statements that the FBI contained about its targets before it went to the FISA court, which it was bound by law to give to the FISA court judges, saying we probably have some information that makes it so they're not actually guilty of what we want to check them out for because we want them to be guilty.
That was in Bucket 5.
This is Bucket 5.
Because it's reminding me of Bozo the Clown, where the farther you can throw the ball into the bucket.
Yep.
But let me tell you about one important dynamic that's changed. Today at the Hill, we had a new poll out. For the first time, a majority of Americans support investigating the FBI's conduct and the start of the Russia investigation. That is a sea change in public sentiment.
Yeah, it is,
and I think it's a sign that the American public is on to the scam that was going.
And how it can be. With most of America reading the newspaper, or half of America watching the mainstream media, and they still want to investigate the investigators. Because people know deep down inside, hey, something was wrong here.
Right.
2 plus 2 equals 4, but I'm seeing like 10. What happened?
What's cracking me up, though, is that Nancy, the video that we showed earlier, was like saying President Trump is covering things up, and he's covering things up. Well, my mom always said, what you accuse others of is what you're guilty of. And so we're seeing that they are trying to cover this up. And it's like, when you have no other recourse and you're a liar, you just hold on to that lie to the very end until you crash and burn. And that's what they are doing.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
You're not ready.
I'm ready.
It's been very bad. So if they don't get the USMCA, that would be very sad. Jeff?
Speaker Pelosi said today she hoped your family would conduct an intervention with you. What's your reaction to that?
No, I saw her read it perfectly, just the way she said it. It's very, very sort of a nasty type statement, but I will say this. She said I walked into the room right next door yesterday and walked in and started screaming and yelling. Just the opposite. Just the opposite. Because I know that they will always say that, even if it didn't happen, because this happened once before. I walked out, I was so calm. You all saw me minutes later. I was at a news conference. I was extremely calm. I was probably even more so in that room. So I walked into the cabinet room. You had the group, Crying Chuck, Crazy Nancy. I tell you what, I've been watching her, and I have been watching her for a long period of time. She's not the same person. She's lost it. Now, as far as the group is concerned, where is Sarah, Kellyanne? Where are you? Come here a minute. You were in that room. Kellyanne? You were in the room. Sarah was in the room. Mercedes was in the room yesterday. So I just want to let you know, every time I go into a room, if there aren't cameras, they come out and say, oh, he was yelling, he was screaming. Kellyanne, what was my temperament yesterday in the room?
Very calm, no temper tantrum. I told the Facts First crowd, if they published that you were fuming, temper tantrum, rage, lost it, that's just a lie. Because everyone was just because we had no to do. But you were very calm, so
they have it on tape someplace? Good.
You stood at the end of the table, stated your case.
He doesn't.
Wow. So, and they're not going to take Kellyanne's word for it. They hate Kellyanne. But there were several other people in the room, and it doesn't matter how many people Trump had with him. You know what I mean? They're going to say, well, they're all covering for Trump. They're all lying. He went in there and he yelled, and he's got these people in there to cover for him and to lie for him and whatnot.
Well, I can kind of say so for Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, she just can't speak because it's words. Hers is 1, 2, and 3. And the 6 Siamese cats. And then we're going to the impeachment is on the table because there's things and collusion and corruption and I just can somebody get me a vodka? I don't know how much longer I can stand up here. Wow.
And it's possible. Here's the funny thing, though. That guy that had tweeted
remember
out,
on her flights, they the alcohol bills have been like
exactly.
crazy.
That's what I was getting to. They're trying to make it seem like Nancy Pelosi is drunk. Well,
the alcohol bills
is not good for you, and we know that she has large alcohol bills. So we do know that she drinks heavily, or she's just buying drinks for everyone else and doesn't ever touch the stuff, which seems that would be wrong, I would think. And so it's not far-fetched to say, listen, either she was literally drunk, or, I mean, with Drunk or Younger, he's always loaded, when he goes places. It's possible that she's so nervous that she can't, I don't know.
Just a little side note that you guys need to understand that Flynn will be vindicated. I think this is another one of those for the glory of God things. Russian-born British academic is suing the FBI informant Stefan Halper for dragging her name through the mud as part of a conspiracy to undo the 2016 presidential election and topple the president of the United States of America.
Thank you.
Svetlana Lakova filed a lawsuit against Halper, who was paid over like $1 million for being an FBI informant and trying to set people up, and several mainstream media news organizations who she has accused of publishing false information provided by Halper. Lakova's contact with Flynn at the 2014 dinner organized by the former MI6 head Richard Dearlove was used in several 2017 media reports to suggest that Flynn had been gotten to by the Russians, while pundits and social media commentators suggested she was a Kremlin honeypot. So here she is at a same dinner organized by the head of MI6, and suddenly you've got an American there and a Russian there and a British guy there, and suddenly it's the American and the Russian coming together. She had some not so nice words. It literally says Stefan Halper is a rat blank blank and a spy who embroiled an innocent woman in a conspiracy to undo the 2016 presidential election and toppled the president of the United States of America. Reads the lawsuit.
Oh my
which
gosh.
hilariously justifies the use of the word rat effer in a footnote.
Unbelievable.
Is a well-known political term originated by the one-time Richard Nixon campaign strategist. It is a colorful and foul simile for pulling a dirty trick.
Whoa. Okie doke.
Halper is accused of working with the FBI and political operatives at Cambridge to spread misinformation through the mainstream media sources they had relationships with in order to fuel and further the now debunked and dead narrative of Trump Russia. So other people have been smeared as well, and I'm really hoping that Flynn comes out clean.
Yeah, me too.
Are you ready for another commercial break?
But before you do,
okay.
I don't know if you were going to cover this, but maybe you could just tell people about it, because it kind of reminds me of what you said. Trump had tweeted out saying, when is Twitter going to allow all of the conservatives back on that have been silenced? It's about time. And so I'm kind of thinking about a Michael Flynn, where when is a Michael Flynn going to be vindicated? It's about time. I think that Trump, now that the Mueller investigation is closed and it has come out false, Trump has so much solid ground to stand on to do all the things that he's wanted to do heretofore. And so I think that we're going to see a lot of things like a vindication of a Michael Flynn.
So let me give you an idea, again, on some of these before we take a commercial break. It's actually just not a commercial. It's just I'd like to throw in something that I believe is funny. for you.
Yeah.
So here are some of the declassification articles. All versions of the Carter Page FISA applications. All of Bruce Orr's 302s filed out by the FBI. All of Bruce Orr's emails and supportive documents and material provided by Bruce Orr and the FBI. All relevant documents pertaining to supportive material within the FISA application. All intelligence documents that were presented to the Gang of Eight in 2016. And somebody said this, that Theresa May is stepping down now that these are coming to light because these documents do not bode well for MI5 and do not bode well for the United Kingdom government and the Steele, because the Steele dossier and Christopher Steele was former MI5 UK spy. So she thinks she doesn't want to be, I guess, seen as the prime minister embroiled in the situation. She's the former prime minister embroiled in the situation.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we're going to get to Theresa May having stepped down and resigned.
She will.
It will be very, very soon. She's made her announcement.
Yes. All right. Are you ready for this?
We're ready.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says growing cauliflower is colonial, and she insists community gardens central to her Green New Deal should be used to grow culturally significant plants like yucca. So, shake it, and pull something out of the bag. Cauliflower is white, therefore it's a representative of white supremacy. Are you ready? You're not ready.
Also check.
May I just say that I love the idea of community gardens, and I do encourage them, and I feel like sometimes there's a good thing and the devil takes advantage of it.
What are those, begonias? I don't know. What I love too is growing plants that are culturally familiar to the community is so important. If you look all the way back there, that looks like composting. It looks like they've got composting going on, which is so awesome too, because composting is really hard to do in a neighborhood like this. We just don't have the pickups and the of it that a lot of other communities have. So that's really how you do it right. That is such a core component of the Green New Deal, is having all of these projects make sense in a cultural context. And it's an area that we get the most pushback on, because people say, like, why do you need to do that? That's too hard. But when you really think about it, when someone says that it's too hard to do a green space that grows yucca instead of, I don't know, cauliflower or something, what you're doing is that you're taking a colonial approach to environmentalism, and that is why a lot of communities of color get resistant to certain environmentalists.
There are words coming out of your mouth,
and
but they don't make any sense.
That they mean what you think they mean.
You can't just say cauliflower is colonial.
Movements, because they come with a colonial lens on them, and it should be no.
It's not called colonizing if it's part of your own daggum city and part of your own daggum country.
Well, hang on, though, because as a gardener, which she obviously...
I really feel like she thinks that all brown people are native and white people are non-native to anywhere. That they're all colonial.
Right. Well, hang on, though, because let's break this down.
When
she says, that looks like composting, because, composting is hard to do, and that's composting is it's actually not that hard to do. If you have a little plot of land and you can throw stuff and you just turn it, add some water, add some green stuff, it's not that difficult, okay? But when she chose cauliflower, I want to say to you, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, sweetheart, most Americans don't grow cauliflower. Do you know why?
Because it's hard
to grow cauliflower. Because it is hard to grow as celery. Okay? A real gardener will tell you that. Cauliflower is difficult.
It's not on the top of anyone's list.
One of the hardest vegetables to get to grow anywhere in the United States. So the fact that you chose cauliflower, she couldn't go with green beans, because I think there are some inner city people whose mama makes some real good green beans. Okay? You can't go with green beans because they got color. You had to go with cauliflower. Well, guess what? You just set everybody free. Hallelujah. I don't have to try to grow cauliflower anymore and feel like a failure as a farmer.
It's so hard to grow cauliflower.
I mean, you are the most clueless person I have ever heard of in my entire life.
I've been growing food in my garden for 15 years. And before that, I've been growing on the balcony.
Wow.
Do you know how many heads of cauliflower I have attempted to grow and how many heads I've successfully grown? I had one really good cabbage patch where I had a lot of broccoli and I had a lot of cauliflower. I ended up with
Broccoli's not that hard. You would think it's not the same thing, broccoli and cauliflower.
I had about 4 heads of cauliflower total in all my years of growing vegetables.
I want to cut this and splice this and tweet this out to her. AOC, you need to...
Ain't nobody going to community gardens getting people to grow cauliflower.
Cauliflower. If you're going to grow things in a community garden, I'm going to tell you what you're going to grow. You're going to grow green beans, you're going to grow tomatoes, you're going to grow squash, and you're going to grow... Peppers. That's it. You're not going to try to attempt to grow anything else. Why? Because it's hard.
Cucumbers.
Cucumbers are easy. You're right. Okay? Corn is difficult. More so than other things.
Melons are hard.
Melons are practically impossible, depending on where you live. They're really difficult.
We're talking about northern zones. If she's talking about southern zones, it's easy to grow.
Where does she live again, Leah?
Washington, D.C. right now. But
Thank you.
But she's from New York.
Thank you. You can't grow cauliflower in New York. I would like to see you plant a cauliflower plant. Not even a seed. This is a challenge, AOC. I challenge you to get a cauliflower plant. I'm going to make it easy on you. I'm going to give you a handicap. Get yourself a cauliflower plant and plant it with whatever you want to do. Find yourself the best compost, peat moss, vermiculite, perlite, whatever you can get your hands on, or a bag of Miracle-Gro, whatever. Plant your little cauliflower. And if you can get that cauliflower to grow, then I will tweet this video out without any censorship. I will just say, listen, she's 100% right. If you can get yourself a cauliflower to grow. I mean, come on, sister. You don't know anything. You're talking about growing yucca. Do you know how many people even culturally actually eat the root of a yucca plant? I call it yucca. Okay? You don't eat the leaves. They're very spindly. They have beautiful flowers. Most people use them for decorative plants.
You wouldn't plant them in a small urban garden.
No. Oh my gosh.
But you might plant them as foliage in borders and things like that.
The author of the Green New Deal should know what it's like to be a gardener or a farmer or grow any plant ever.
Well, she is growing some on her balcony right now, but she's really excited about it.
Okay, but if she's a first timer,
yeah,
you're in for some surprises.
That sometimes a lot of these projects don't work out occasionally.
Yeah, like your cauliflower.
Our communities are naturally in tune to live in an environmentally conscious way. You know, a lot of us are 1 or 2 generations removed from living off the land. My family in Puerto Rico, in many ways, lives off the land. But if I went to a predominantly white community and said, okay, you guys are going to be growing plantains and yucca and all these things that you don't know how to cook, and that your palate is...
Do you know how to grow plantain? Because you're only going to do it in, like, Texas and Florida, honey.
Accustomed to, it's going to be, like, cute for a little bit, but it's not easy. You need to make it as easy as possible to kind of just flow into these communities and to make it work. So the way that you do this right is that you don't kind of come into a community and impose what you think is right. That is what so many community development projects get wrong, whether it's housing, whether it's environmental projects. What you need to do is plug in and find leaders in these communities and support them. And also just like pay attention to when they're speaking about these things, because so often they'll be saying these things forever and they just go on deaf ears, and then when someone brings it up from a different community, that's like the first time it's acknowledged, when so many people have been talking about this for a long time.
I got something for you.
I can't.
I want you to go into your daggum community. I want you to talk to your community leaders, and I want you to ask them what they'd like to grow. They're not going to say yucca, and they ain't going to say plantains in New York City.
They're probably not going to say cauliflower.
They ain't going to say plantains in stinking New York City. When you're thinking that you're so smart with the words that you're speaking, but you sit down at night and you dream about things, and they're fantasies, and they're not really real. My Puerto Rican friend. Maybe you can grow the yucca and the plantain in Puerto Stinking Rico. And I would say, go girl, if you're in Puerto Rico, grow the yucca all you want. Grow the plantains all you want. Because that's the climate there. She thinks she's so good about climate. You know what she said? There was tornado warnings in Washington, D.C. And she said, oh no, we've got casual tornadoes now in Washington, D.C. It's climate change. A meteorologist called her out and said, no, honey, it's called the weather. This woman, I think Pelosi had some marbles and she lost them. AOC never had them. Jesus didn't give them to her. And I don't know if you can give somebody marbles that they never had. I think you're born with a set of marbles.
Every time she opens up her mouth, it's a gamble because she doesn't know what's going to come out.
And she has people writing things for her. So when she talks to pharmaceutical companies and when she talks to the banks, she reads it and she can spout it out, and that she's good. She gets behind it. But when she turns that little machine on and she doesn't have a script, and people listen to her and they're like, oh my gosh, let's go into New York suburbs and let's get them to see plant some yucca and some plantains. And then they go and get their stinking plantains, which are a banana tree, by the way. And I'm going to tell you something. You know who is the best at growing banana trees? My mom. But you know what we don't actually do? It's fruit bananas. Down the street, Grant's greenhouse fruited some bananas in their banana tree by keeping their banana tree in the greenhouse heated all year long. You can grow banana trees here. We have grown, Mama, last year she gave away banana trees out the wazoo. We must have had 100 banana trees. But because they didn't have a chance to get real big and tall and fruit, which is really cool to see them fruit, I actually like them. People north of that Mason-Dixon line ain't going to be planting, and even south of it ain't going to be planting no banana trees. They're going to be fruiting and planting bananas unless you're getting everybody in their community garden centers stinking greenhouses, which is fine for me. Go ahead. I think it's wonderful. Oh, my word. I don't know.
It's hard to take her serious.
That was my commercial break, and I've lost my breath.
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
CIA whistleblower Assange is going to get railroaded by the hanging judge. Are you coming to the tree, it's from the Mockingjay. It's a hanging tree. They said they murdered 3. Strange things have happened here, no stranger would you be. I met at midnight by that hanging tree. All right. A former CIA analyst turned whistleblower says that an extradited Julian Assange would have no chance of a fair trial, and that's the kicker. In front of a federal judge, this chick right here, who reserves every national security case for herself. John Kiriakou, who was sentenced to 30 months in prison by the Eastern District of Virginia Judge Lyon Brinkema for telling ABC News about CIA waterboarding.
Oh, wow.
Told ABC News about CIA waterboarding.
Wow.
Sentenced 30 months in prison. Told the Russia state-sponsored RT they are going to try to make an example of Julian, adding he's been charged in the Eastern District of Virginia. His judge was also my judge and Snowden's judge.
Oh my gosh.
Jeffrey Sterling's judge, who reserves every national security case for herself. She's the hanging judge. She will not give him a fair trial. It's impossible for Julian to receive a fair trial in the Eastern District of Virginia, added John Kiriakou. John Devitt says, I haven't always agreed with Assange or his method, but it's impossible to imagine him receiving a fair trial in the U.S. after the treatment of Chelsea Manning, reality winner, and many others. Well, reality winner, I believe, is a traitor. She's a crazy girl. Speaking from his own, if you're going to be giving out government secrets, do it right. Speaking from his own experience with the same district court, he argued that it's going to try to give him as many years as they can, which means a sentence of 30 to 40 years if served continuously.
Wow.
John Kiriakou, whistleblower and former CIA officer, welcome to the programme. It's great to have you with us, John. So Assange now facing 17 more charges in addition to the one of computer hacking he faced before. Why do you think the US has chosen now to do this?
Well, I think that that they're confident that they can enact this indictment right now because it's going to be easy for them to get Julian back to the United States. I think that with the Swedes on board, with the Brits on board, the Justice Department knows that they can bottle up Julian that Julian can bottle them up in the European Court of Human Rights for only so long before he's finally extradited to the United States. So I think that they figured the time was right, indict him now, get the wheels turning, and have him back as quickly as possible.
This tough stance the US is taking against Julian Assange, essentially throwing the book at him, do you think it's being used as a potential threat to ward off other journalists and potential whistleblowers?
Without any doubt. I think that's exactly what the point is here. The point is to frighten everybody to the point where they don't dare compromise something that might even possibly be classified. This is meant to create a chilling effect all across the media, not just among Americans, but everybody around the world.
There are so many US outlets who published the information that was released by WikiLeaks. Aren't they just as culpable as Assange? And, you know, why aren't they taking a strong stance in support of Assange now?
Of course they are. And this is the hypocrisy of the mainstream media here in the United States. Just a couple of weeks ago, the Washington Post editorial board ran an editorial saying that Julian was not a journalist. Well, guess what? The Washington Post won Pulitzer Prizes using the information that Julian and WikiLeaks published. So you would think that in a normal world, the Washington Post, the New York...
What they're saying about Julian Assange not being a journalist is that he didn't spin his stuff. He just let you decide. Journalism takes a stance, I guess.
Right.
To control and manipulate
people. Which is
people.
actually the complete opposite of what it's supposed to be.
Journalism should be to produce people facts.
Right.
I don't know if you guys know this or remember this, but we did our video on Alibed and the CAN PSYOP with Syria. And Julian Assange said Trump supporters, you know, do this thing, and he tweeted us out. Julian Assange knows who we are. That's a pretty big deal in my book. Which goes to show me that he has his own ideological leanings, but can sit down and talk with people.
Right.
On any level.
Right.
He is the best of humanity, trying to bring out the best in humanity by allowing people to make their own decisions with truth. Hey, he didn't go and try to get into government and superfuge and do something with like cunning or secret.
Somebody came to him.
Well, Chelsea Manning.
Right. I'm just saying that this wasn't like you just said, he didn't worm his way in. He wasn't trying to, that's what a journalist does. No other journalist in their right mind would have turned down that information.
Exactly.
Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Guardian, and every other major news outlet would be lining up behind Julian to support him. They're not. And the truth of the matter is they're not because they're afraid. They're afraid of making the Justice Department angrier than it already is. Now, this is a precedent. Julian clearly and obviously is a publisher and a journalist. And if this prosecution goes forward, and it appears that it will go forward, then those journalists at the Washington Post and the New York Times and elsewhere have to be worried that they're going to be next to be charged with espionage.
Having said that, how do you see things playing out for Assange now? Do you think he will be extradited? Do you think there could be a possible death sentence in this for him?
I don't think that there can be a death sentence. In fact, I'm confident that there can't be, because the death penalty is in effect on these charges only in a time of war, and we're not in a time of war. I think that they're going to try to make an example of Julian. He's been charged in the Eastern District of Virginia, and his judge was also my judge, and Ed Snowden's judge, and Jeffrey Sterling's judge, who reserves every national security case for herself. She's a hanging judge. She will not give him a fair trial. It will be impossible for Julian to receive a fair trial in the Eastern District of Virginia. So I think that they're going to try to extradite him as quickly as possible, with or without the European Court of Human Rights trying to step in and delay it. And they're going to try to give him as many years as they possibly can. Now, realistically, in the event that he's found guilty of these charges, a lot of those sentences are going to run concurrently. And so he's probably looking in the neighborhood of 30 years, a sentence of 30, maybe 40 years. With that said, he'll have immediate standing to appeal on the basis that the Espionage Act is unconstitutionally vague. And many of us have contended that it's unconstitutionally vague, but we haven't had the standing to appeal it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has never ruled on this issue. This may be the way to go.
Wow. Yeah, how significant do you think that is, the fact that the Espionage Act, which was passed a century ago, and this being the first time it would reportedly be used to prosecute a journalist, how significant is that, do you think?
I think it's critically significant. You know, between 1917, the passage of the Espionage Act, and 2009, only 3 Americans were charged with espionage for speaking to the media. Under Barack Obama, 8 Americans, including myself, were charged with espionage for speaking with the media. Donald Trump has even accelerated that rate. And so the Supreme Court is going to have to decide if this is what the Founding Fathers meant when they said freedom of the press and freedom of speech. My belief is that this is not what they meant. And indeed, the author of a law called the Intelligence Identities Protection Act, which is referred to in Julian's indictment, said that this is not why the law was written. The law was written to protect people from disclosures made by bad actors like Philip Agee, not journalists like Julian Assange.
Now, on the flip side, the US is going to argue that Assange and WikiLeaks have endangered people's lives by publishing this classified information. I mean, don't they have a point there?
You know, they do have a point, but, and I don't mean to sound too legalistic here, but that's not a crime. The people whose identities Julian is accused of having blown were not U.S. government employees, and they were not entitled legally to protection from the U.S. government. That just simply isn't a crime.
On that note, John Kiriakou, whistleblower and former CIA officer, thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Very intelligent man, that John Kiriakou. Whatever.
So, listen, this is one of those times where we have to put pressure on Donald Trump. I don't know where this is going.
Right.
But Free Assange has got to trend, and I see a lot of mega people, Jack Posobiec, Mike Cernovich, most of the mega people, Make America Great people, are on Assange's side, not even because of what he did in the 2016 election, but because of what he exposed in the Bush Republican era.
Yeah.
With the Iraqi war.
And I wish that these lefties would see that we don't play party politics.
Right.
We voted, my family voted for George Bush. He was the first president that you ever voted for. Yes. I wasn't old enough to vote for him, okay? But we bought into all the lies. Mm-hmm. And you know what? We were betrayed.
Right.
And fool me once, and it's actually George Bush's line. Shame on you, right? Okay, shame on me, whatever. He totally gets it wrong. We were fooled by the Bushes. Mm-hmm. And then when the truth came to light, we were like, all right, they're evil people. I voted for them. It was wrong. You know, yada, yada, yada. It never should have happened. These people will never do that. Mm-hmm. They stick to that party line no matter what. So when it comes to Julian Assange, he's kind of a socialist. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's definitely very, very liberal. Mm-hmm. And yet we want him free because what is happening to him is unjust, however you want to say it.
Exactly. So I want to move on here because it's we're getting towards the end of our show, and there's two things I want to show you. I'm going to end on something fun, so stick with us. One more fun video, but we got to talk about this awesomeness. Theresa May.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Theresa May cries.
Are you going to play the video of her crying?
June 7th.
I watched the video earlier. I don't know if that's the whole thing.
Here is the Prime Minister making a statement. Here is the Prime Minister making a statement on her future.
On her future.
Ever since I first stepped through the door behind me as Prime Minister, I have striven to make the United Kingdom a country that works not just for a privileged few, but for everyone, and to honour the result of the EU referendum. Back in 2016, we gave the British people a choice. Against all predictions, the British people voted to leave the European Union. I feel as certain today as I did 3 years ago that in a democracy, if you give people a choice, you have a duty to implement what they decide.
Yeah?
I have done my best to do that.
No, not really.
I negotiated the terms of our exit and a new relationship with our closest neighbours that protects jobs, our security and our union. I have done everything I can to convince MPs to back that deal.
Yes, you did. That is
Sadly,
the truth.
I have not been able to do so.
Also the truth.
I tried 3 times.
Also the truth.
I believe it was right to persevere, even when the odds against success seemed high.
Also.
But it is now clear to me that it is in the best interests of the country for a new Prime Minister to lead that effort.
Also the truth.
So I am today announcing that I will resign as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party on Friday the 7th of June, so that a successor can be chosen. I've agreed with the party chairman and with the chairman of the 1922 committee that the process for electing a new leader...
Can I just say, because I'm really excited about this, Donald Trump is going for a state visit to the UK.
Yes.
Coming up.
Right.
She's staying for that state visit. But when he sees Nigel Farage in the UK, which I'm sure he will, the excitement in Nigel Farage, because he will know that they have polls polling at 37% of the European Union votes. Now get this. With the Conservatives voting at 10%, you're looking at close to 50%, anti-EU people, and then you probably have the DUP and stuff like, you have some UKIP in there,
right?
Things like that. So, pretty powerful stuff.
Should begin in the following week. I have kept Her Majesty the Queen fully informed of my intentions, and I will continue to serve as her Prime Minister until the process has concluded. It is, and will always remain, a matter of deep regret to me that I have not been able to deliver Brexit. It will be for my successor to seek a way forward that honours the result of the referendum. To succeed, he or she will have to find consensus in Parliament where I have not. Such a consensus can only be reached if those on all sides of the debate are willing to compromise. For many years, the great humanitarian Sir Nicholas Winton, who saved the lives of hundreds of children by arranging their evacuation from Nazi-occupied Czechoslovakia through the Kinder transport, was my constituent in Maidenhead. At another time of political controversy, a few years before his death, he took me to one side at a local event and gave me a piece of advice. He said, "Never forget that compromise is not a dirty word. Life depends on compromise." He was right. As we strive to find the compromises we need in our politics, whether to deliver Brexit or to restore devolved government in Northern Ireland, we must remember what brought us here. Because the referendum was not just a call to leave the EU, but for profound change in our country. A call to make the United Kingdom a country that truly works for everyone.
Where's her tears?
I know, that didn't even have the ambulance on it. I'm listening to that, and it is very exciting that this is happening, and I'm glad that it's finally here. I want to expound upon you talking about Trump's state visit. I believe that on the surface, Theresa May is staying for Trump's state visit because it only makes sense for a well-known political figure and face to receive Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I think that in part a little bit, Theresa May was kind of like, well, I want to be the one to
absolutely.
Can I stay for that one? Because Trump's coming and I kind of want to be there. You talked about Trump meeting up with Nigel Farage. Somebody had sent me a message.
Prime Minister to resign?
I want to give kind of a voice to the regular American who may not quite understand what is happening here with Theresa May and the government, because one of our friends had sent me a message letting me know that it's actually a neighbor right down the street that that Theresa May had resigned today. And he also said that he was hoping for Nigel Farage as prime minister over Boris Johnson. Well, that can't really happen right now. So I want to read my response. I said he's a member of European Parliament, or he will be after this weekend's elections. And he will be a member of the European Parliament until October 31st. And so I said, you have to be an MP, a member of the British Parliament in order, and you have to be an MP of the majority party in order for you to be eligible to be prime minister. Now, Nigel Farage I went off script of what I said, but Nigel Farage's Brexit party, he's hoping to topple the Labour conservative party dynamic and come up with something completely new, and that's the Brexit party. The Brexit party would have to become the majority party.
Wait, stop real quick. Larry
the cat. Departure. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, prime ministers don't leave like this. They don't shove the sofa up against the door and refuse to listen to anyone. It is so undignified.
I mean,
Larry the cat had to be moved out of the way so the prime minister could come out. She has an indoor-outdoor cat.
So it is a possibility that in the future, Nigel Farage could become prime minister, but there are a lot of things that would need to happen first. The Brexit party would have to take off. They would have to gain the majority, and then Nigel would have to want it. We've already seen with, what is the name that the guy that he's given his kind of Brexit campaign over to? It looks like a Colgate guy. Ding! I forget his name. Somebody in the chat will correct me here or get that for me. But
yeah, he's a very charismatic person.
I think that Nigel may not, because what happens when you're prime minister is things like this. You're going to go down badly no matter what on some. And I don't know that Nigel wants that. So when people ask him that genuine question of, do you want to be prime minister? He's like, no. Would he do it out of a sense of duty if it came to that? I think he probably would.
Right.
But I don't think
but
he would want to.
I think he would like to set up his Brexit party.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's the
country. So much to be proud of. So
I just can't make anybody big.
That's right. We can have her tears be little.
So much to be optimistic about. I will shortly leave the job that it has been the honour of my life to hold. The
Probably
second
true.
female prime minister, but certainly not the last.
And
I
not
do
the
so
best.
with no ill
Thatcher.
will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
Okay, hang on. Can you play that last part one more time? It was very
I
childish
do
sounding to
so
me.
with no ill will,
It kind of shows
but
a
with
lot.
enormous
And
and
she
enduring
stomps off.
gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
You people are getting rid of me. And it's all your fault that you didn't like me as prime minister, and I hate you all, and now I gotta go.
This is kind of not the last thing you'd want to
Serve
end
the
on.
country I love.
That's really not what you want to end
That's
on.
really what she sounded like.
I know, it was really embarrassing.
I wish, she probably is like, I wish I had done that different.
I don't know. I think
I
she
would have
wanted
had
to stick it to the man.
Okay, but my tears would have been different. Like, even if I had to conjure them up,
Okay.
I would have.
I want to, I'm going to untweet this and I'm going to retweet this out. Let me see. I want you to play it for the people big.
Okie dokie.
You guys, there's so much other things, but it's 8 o'clock and I really want to,
Get
let
some
you
stuff
guys go
outside.
and get some stuff done outside. Things like there's a hate list. Hate
You didn't cover the
agents
bombing
on-
thing. Oh, yeah, we started
very
out with
again.
that in Lyon.
Facebook's list of hate people. Anne-Marie Waters is on there. Carl Benjamin Sarkozy on there. Candace Owens is on there.
Wow.
Gabrielle, what's her face? She speaks out. I'm losing it right now. Well, everybody's on there.
So,
the
Trump's tweet saying, when are you going to let these people out of prison? And
Well,
then
this was
hear these
Facebook.
people.
That was Facebook,
I'm
but
saying,
yeah.
what I'm saying is, it's a war. We're
is a
seeing,
war.
and Facebook and Twitter they go hand in hand right now.
Right.
It's a war between these guys on this side and everybody else on the other side.
Yeah, I have some other videos. I can't wait. Come back again on Sunday because I have so much to cover. I was looking through my feed and thinking, oh my gosh, I want to cover this, but a lot of it's European news. The Iman of Peace. I'm going to go upstairs real quick. I'll be right back. The Iman of Peace was interviewed by Candace Owens. A really cool clip I would have loved to show you guys. Donald Trump Jr. tweeted this out. DNA testing reveals a third of migrants fake their relationship with the kids. That's mean there's sex trafficking, child trafficking going on there.
That's
and
massive.
Left is
so
not
hang on.
even
Wait,
care.
I know we're trying to wrap up.
No,
here,
I gotta go.
Where you gotta go?
I got it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So within there, I'm playing this video.
Yeah.
All right. So when in talking about that with these migrants and stuff like that, everybody was like, Donald Trump thinks that everybody that's coming over here is MS-13. Well, no, but if MS-13 is coming over, then you gotta stop everybody and get them in line.
Right, exactly.
Stand in line, then you get to
All
come
right.
in.
So this is really fun. So much other news I want to cover, but this is fun.
Am I ending the show?
Yeah, you're going to end the show.
Okay. You know what else is fun? If you haven't seen Michelle's video, Why I Love Men,
watch it. It's so good.
and
You're gonna
share
love
it, share it, share it.
You are going to love it, guys.
All right,
Oop.
so
Okay.
wait, I gotta switch everybody over here.
Everybody over.
So here we are, Jack Posobiec. Watch American workers who make mega hats thank President Trump. That's fantastic.
Is everything. My job means everything to me. It makes me feel
Oh, come on.
good about myself.
I tell my kids, my girls, my grandkids, that's the cap that we make. I make that cap.
It means a lot working for the president. You have this little tingly on the inside, you know, and wow, we're really getting there, you know? Not getting there, we there.
This is my work. I make caps, and he picked us to make America great again, so we gotta work.
To know that I was a part of that history, oh my God, I'm so proud. My children are proud, my grandchildren are proud.
We're so proud to have American workers manufacture this product. It's just been such an honor to make the hat. It's been incredible for not only our company, but our people that work here.
Now it's a hat.
Make America great again, which is what we're doing. Yay!
We making America great again.
We making America great again.
100% made in the USA.
100% made in the USA.
100% made in USA.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you, President Trump. We're making America great again.
We are truly making America great again.
Donald Trump is our president.
He is my president.
Donald Trump is our president.
Oh my gosh, that's so much fun. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm glad we ended on that. That was a good commercial break that Leah came up with for you guys. That's super duper awesome. All right, so that concludes the end of Resistance Chicks Weekly Roundup on Fridays, which we do every Friday at 6 p.m. roughly. It's actually usually like 20 after 6, almost to the money. I don't know what it is about that, but we will be back on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our European and UK news. You know, I said something to Jay, our IT guy, and I hate to call him that, and I don't know why I don't know what else to call him. He helps me with my computer stuff, and he does it for free. So he's not really our IT guy. His birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, Jay. He's actually doing something that I want to tell you guys about. It's called, and let me actually take you there really quickly. The Patriot, it's www.thepatriotchannel.com. Now, this is literally in the conception stages of what's happening. Now, the reason why I'm taking you here is because I want to read to you their mission statement. The Patriot Channel's mission is to be a shield and a shelter for the conservative Christian voice. We want to build a community that facilitates knowledge, acquisition, and valuable communication among conservative Christian people without fear of reprisal. We believe this will give conservative Christians the opportunity to occupy more ground that has been used to weaponized to destroy their voice. We want to help you say no more. We are a free speech platform and believe, as our founding leader, James Madison, did, that free speech is a precondition for self-government and needs to not only be protected, but also engaged. It is our goal to provide a platform that liberates and empowers the Christian conservative voice, which has been muzzled, isolated, and vilified by the mainstream media. The Patriot Channel's vision is to amplify the Christian conservative voice by supplying it a platform to interact, share experiences, develop valued relationships, and work toward the common goal of keeping America one nation under God. We at the Patriot Channel love America's constitutional republic. We believe those in government work for us and must answer to us. In order to not lose what the founding fathers sacrificed their lives, fortunes, and sacred honors for, we must have honest, open communication with one another. We strive as a platform to provide that for you, the body of Christ. We believe this will help conservative Christians to engage in the process, mobilize, and rise up as one united voice in order to move mountains in our nation. If you want to be silent no more, and the social media tech giants are censoring your voice because you are a Christian conservative, then the Patriot Channel is your home. We welcome you. So that's their mission statement right there. You can go to their home here, and you can log in through Facebook. You can advertise with them. Now it's not actually working right this very second, but I still want you guys to go here because they have a donate button somewhere. Maybe it'll work for you guys rather than for me. But they have, and here's our Cooney Pigs in the background. They have a goal set for $5,000, which I think is very, very reasonable, to get together pretty much to really professionalize this and present it to people. The idea behind it is absolutely fantastic. They're thinking about incorporating your own congressmen and women and your own senators to use for advertising. It'll be monetized. Now, I was talking to Jay the other day, and he said that, there are so many channels, not channels, but platforms that rise up and then they fall, and they rise up and they fall. And Jay seemed very confident when he said that's not going to happen to our channel, because we're going, our platform, because it's going to be something entirely different. And I know that a lot of you might say, well, if it's based as Christian conservative, then it's not going to be a competition for YouTube. It's time to dismantle the huge tech giant. It's time for there to be video platforms out there where you can put your videos and information out there, and then you can take it and you can go to these other places and share it, where your video won't be taken down and it won't be censored and it won't have an algorithm attached to it. I am very, very, very excited about what Jay is going to be doing here. I think he's got Chris Ann Hall on his side. He told me about a channel the other day that I absolutely loved. It's called The Patriot Bee, B-E-E. This lady, from the videos that I watch, does an amazing job of presenting historical information about the United States history, and presenting it in a godly manner with patriotism at its core. And I loved it. I watched something she did on William McKinney. It was phenomenal. So I want you guys to go to her channel and subscribe. She's kind of a small channel. So every person that is watching this to this far right now, I expect you to go to the Patriot Bee right now. Just put it in there, Patriot Bee, and subscribe to her channel, because she's doing amazing things. And she actually helped compose that mission statement. So I want you guys to support all of these channels that are going to be coming out on the Patriot channel. And we're going to be putting our videos, when it comes forth, we are going to be 100% behind it. So I want to thank Jay for doing this. I've been asking him, many people who know him have been asking him to do this, because they know that he has the mind in order to make that a reality, which is super duper exciting. So I'm going to sign off here now that I plugged that, and I want you guys to go ahead and donate to the Patriot channel. And I think you can find them on Facebook as well. So it's really, really exciting development that's happening. And I think it's very crucial going into the 2020 elections that these kinds of things rise up, because we are being censored. And the only reason that Donald Trump won in 2016 was because of social media, because of people putting videos out there, information, and so on and so forth. So we'll see you on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend if you're here in the United States. And remember, a friend of mine had shared a meme of, people barbecuing and, oh, I wish Memorial Day happened all the time. And then the other half of it is a family, it's a cartoon, a family looking at pictures of a fallen soldier and saying, for us, Memorial Day is every day. And I want you to remember why we have Memorial Day. It's not just so that you get off work on Monday. It really is to remember those who have made sacrifices for us. I was at a stoplight the other day, and somebody had some veteran stickers on the back, and he was wearing his veteran hats, and our windows were rolled down, and I yelled and I said, hey, and he kind of looked at me like, what, am I doing something wrong? And I just said, thank you for your service. It's really important to thank our servicemen and women who have laid their lives on the line for our country, for our freedom. Whether they actually saw combat or not, doesn't matter. They signed up and they were there, and they did it when so many others didn't. So we love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. We want you to like, we want you to comment, we want you to subscribe. We want to hear from you guys. We have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your letters, they will be read on air unless otherwise noted. We have 2 packages upstairs, but since Leah's gone, we're going to open them on Sunday, hopefully. We got one from Lori and one from Bill. So you guys can look forward to a little mail call on Sunday as well. So, all right, you guys, have a great evening. And if you're in the UK, go to bed because it's late. All right, good night, guys. God bless.
I was cold.